Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. So I'm particularly excited about today's lesson because I get asked often, hey Bobby, can you please do your thumbnail process but show how you can refine the thumbnails to something that you would send to a client? So I'm going to do that today. And before I get into a lot of the details, I want you to know that I am a traditionalist at heart, which means that if you had me choose between Photoshop and good old-fashioned pencil to paper, you know I'm going to choose the pencil and paper. But for the sake of keeping everything traditional and my camera on my sketchbook, this is all going to be pencil work mixed with a little bit of pen and marker. All right, what I'm doing here is, before I even put any ballpoint pen on this to flesh out these designs, I'm just putting in some cool, weird, random shapes here of these little alien critters. If you're wondering, like, hey, where am I getting the reference from? Well, for this, it's seeing every rated R horror movie in the 1980s, because I grew up in that era, and all of those creatures that I saw stuck with me. Couple that with the obsession with bugs and dinosaurs, and I just start making up stuff and seeing what sticks. Now, not everything is good. You know, I draw some fugly stuff, and it's a complete failure. But on the flip side to that, I try to, turn my mistakes into triumphs, and let's just see what happens. So here I'm just taking a 20% cool gray from Prismacolor, just because it's right next to me, and I have that set. I've had that set for years. Can't believe they have not run out. And I'm just kind of lining up some sketches here. Now I'm not going to do a lot. Okay, let's see, how many do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, that's all I'm going to do. Because the way I have the camera positioned, I want to leave some extra space here to take whatever I'm doing over here and put a little bit more emphasis on the design. Now, if you're a struggling and / aspiring concept artist and you feel like you're not creative or whatever, I encourage you to do this scribbling / splashing of marker technique. Okay, I go over this a lot on my channel, and I cannot stress enough how it alleviates stress if you simply just don't care about the initial lines that you put down on paper. Okay, so just to give a little scenario of what I'm talking about, sometimes a client doesn't really know what they want. It could be a brand new IP, and they don't really have an art Bible, they don't really have a huge design document, and that's totally okay. You are the concept artist, so you're supposed to come up with the ideas. And a lot of times, they won't even have any solid idea until they see your initial sketches. In a way, I love that more for creatures because, it's the blue sky phase. Like, you have total creative freedom to do whatever you want and potentially shape the look and feel of the game that they want to make. So, I know a lot of times we tend to operate better off of structure. Like we need, I'm not say discipline, we need instruction, okay, in order for us to really get something good. What is this thing? At first I thought I was drawing a turtle. I don't know if you all can see it, but this feels like a turtle head right here. Why didn't I just do that? This is why I love pen on top of marker, because the ink just stays so fine and nothing really happens to the line work. So let's do that. It almost looks like a cool, cute little Did I just say cute? Did I just draw something cute? Oh my gosh. Somebody call CNN. I have established myself as a concept artist that is incapable of drawing cute things. Because, you've seen my work. I can draw some pretty scary stuff. But I love it. But anyway. Okay, so we got this cool little turtle here. Now, for this particular set of thumbnail sketches, I'm going to go a little farther, or further, we're not covering distance, into the details, even though it's the thumbnail stage, just because we only have 6 options to choose from. So I want to flesh these out a little bit more. If I was doing something super loose, then you could scribble a lot more and you can still get away with having the majority of the bodies looking ambiguous. I mean, right now these look ambiguous too, but if you're sketching along with me, hopefully you got your music going, you know, you're drinking your tea, you got your candle going, depending on time of day, maybe it's dark where you are, and just, if you're drawing along with me, try to free your mind up and just be happy with the tiny little lines that you're putting down. Okay, so another little trick that I like doing with thumbnail sketches is, even though there's going to be no shading with a pencil or this pen, you can still show where the shadow is if you just darken up the underbelly of any kind of limb or body part that's showing. What this does is it helps bring depth and realism to an otherwise very, very, how should I put this? Not mundane sketch, but unfinished. Okay, and it's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool effect. All right, we got our cute little rider there. I'm just going to call it rider. It just looks like a little rider, doesn't it? It's kind of like two little bazookas up here, but it has claws. Let's do that. Let's darken some of these claws up. So it technically could be like a turtle, but it evolved in another dimension, or you know, it ate some radioactive material that it wasn't supposed to. Yeah, that's a lot of fun, and we can definitely do that. So let's do another little technique that I like doing for the shadow. So I'm going to get in some black Prismacolor, or is this very dark gray? I don't know which one it is. All right, so the cast shadow on the ground, I'm going to connect the feet. Okay, I'm going to connect the feet, and I'm just going to do a very simple semi-fat line directly under the body, but I'm not going to put the marker over the feet. Instead, I'm going to leave a little gap between the tone of the paper and the limb. So what that does is it gives a false sense of being attached to the environment, and that's what you ultimately want. Okay, so we can't forget that leg in the back. We did this a lot in transportation design, and it helps ground the sketch even though you haven't really done a lot rendering wise to make it seem like it's occupying space. Okay, so we have that cool little thumbnail there. Some of these I might add color, like for this one I'll just take a Copic marker. We can let's do some green here. This is going to be interesting. Wait. I learned my lesson. My last one bled, so maybe this little sensory organ at the top can be green, and what we'll have to do is we'll have to continue some of that green maybe on the head. Okay, so we want that continuity there, and then maybe a little bit on the hands. Okay, I don't know if you all can see that. We can probably put some more green over here on that leg. Yeah, that's kind of neat. All right. I try to shift through these colors as best I can. Okay, so we have our little critter number 1 there. Let's move on to critter number 2. So this one, pretty big hulking body here. Now, you want to honor the very edge of the silhouette as best as possible. You do have creative freedom if you want to add some fingers, extra tentacles, some spikes or patches of fur or whatever hanging off the sides. So right here I can clearly see that maybe this limb on my right and this one on the left can be the 2 front legs, and then these 2 big fat ones can be the front or the back ones. Or I can reverse it. Now, if this is the dilemma that I'm in, I have to ask myself, okay, it can't push itself along with the weaker limbs. So maybe these are in the front, and I'll just bend them so it looks like they're coming out of some kind of appendage source right here in the front. Okay, and I want to honor that shape, so even though I don't have gray covering the same amount of space as this front limb, that's okay. Because remember, you can start adding some stuff. Just go over the gray and the sketchiness will take care of itself. So you don't have to follow everything exactly, but it's just nice to at least use or utilize as much of the gray marker as possible. So this one is going to be a little bit more arachnid / crustacean, which you know me, I'm a huge fan of. But this is also going to be a little mammalian too. This actually kind of reminds me of a Pokemon character. I am going to be doing Pokemon character demonic versions. Okay? I mentioned that in my last video, and I'm going to hold myself to it. I don't know if I'm going to get to it in January, but that's my hope, because I got a lot of lessons that I want to show and give you all about thumbnailing and refinement. Because like with the Pokemon that I want to do and all those critters, I want that to be like a pretty long sketch session so you can actually see me do something in pencil from start to finish. I haven't done one of those in a while. All right, now we're getting somewhere. Okay, we got these limbs here. Again, remember, I'm spending a little bit more time on these thumbnails just because we have a limited number of creatures to choose from, and I want to make sure that I get one that I truly do like. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to figure out where that belly is, and then these big, thick back legs, I'm going to press lighter with my ballpoint pen. I had a comment recently on one of my videos. I just got to it today, actually. And they asked me, how am I drawing so lightly with a pen? Because when they press down, they either draw too hard or they don't draw hard enough or the lines even show up. And I can give you a couple answers, and some of them are going to, one of them is just going to be sarcastic. It's to be like, just don't push hard. Okay, seriously, just don't push hard. However, if you want to know how I'm physically holding the pencil, my pinky is guiding my palm. Okay, so the whole palm of my hand isn't pushing hard against the paper. All right, instead, I'm gripping this lightly. Okay, I'm not going all down here and trying to, draw with super amounts of detail. No, I'm just holding it lightly, and then I'm just going to press as light as possible, let my hand flow, and then in areas where I know that there could be some darker lines, and you're probably wondering, hey, how do you know that there's going to be darker lines there? Wherever there's a directional change, you can put a darker line in again. Let me explain. The side of the torso for this creature, there's no real line establishing that. I'm going to start darker and get lighter. Okay, same thing with the front limb right here. I'm going to start dark and get lighter. There's a directional change as it goes down this shin part. Start dark, go lighter. You can see the weight distribution of the pencil or the pen stroke. All right, so that's what I'm going to do. I'll put in a little bit more detail. Maybe there's some toes back there. Okay, and if there is going to be any hatching, like shadowing and stuff, it's just going to be single directional hatching. All right. So I don't really know what this is, but we have to complete at least somewhat of the feet. We have to widen those feet in the back because it didn't look like the proportions were correct. All right, so what can we do for some color here? Let's see. Let's go with, is this pink? Yeah, I think it's pink. I don't know. I don't know if that's really showing up. Let's see. It kind of showed up nicely on top of the Prismacolor, I'll give it that. I do have an idea. Why don't we take some light colors and let's do an orange surrounding that. Oh, I am not doing the brush tip. Okay, let's make like a hot orange right around that pink, and then right here, and then we got ourselves a cool little alien critter. Now, if you want another technique, let's say you want to add a shadow underneath the body on the body, okay, and you don't really want to rely on shading with a pen or pencil. Take the same tone, let the first pass of marker dry and just go right on top of it. You don't need a darker marker for that. Okay, the extra layering of marker takes care of itself. Now, with me using ballpoint pen around there, I have to be careful because the ballpoint pen ink, even though it did dry, the Prismacolor or whatever color or whatever marker you're using can bleed into that. I just realized that this thing is totally crooked. Here I am yapping away, and this thing is crooked. Okay, so we're going to do the ground shadow technique again. Okay, we're going to put in that. We're going to leave that space open for that back foot a little bit, and then that hand, and then put just like a little hint of a shadow there. And there we go. Okay, we got number 2. If you are finding this helpful, please check the links in the description below. I have several things I want you to check out. I teach a creature design for film and games course at Computer Graphics Master Academy, and we have early signups. I've been teaching for CGMA for about 8 years now, and I love teaching people how to draw creatures, but also becoming better concept artists in general. So a lot of the things we go over can bleed into character design, props, environments, vehicles, weapons, you name it. And then also I would like you to check out our Creature Design Workshop Discord. So even if you don't design creatures, but you want to become a better artist in general, we have that covered too. Okay, it's free to join. You can check out our huge reference cache that's added upon every week. We have monthly creature design challenges where I give a brief and, ooh, this is gross. And people submit their work, and we have a voting poll to see who gets nominated to enter the final voting. Man, this thing. Oh, I'm so glad I drew this one, and I did not expect it to turn out like that. But here we are with that crazy looking thing. Okay, but anyway, what was I saying before I got sidetracked? Yes, the Discord and my online course. So the other thing that I want to talk about, I run a mentorship. I've been doing it for years now, and I take all skill levels. If you're a complete noob, you've never drawn a cube in your life, if you're an intermediate artist wanting to, take that next leap to become a senior artist, or you could be a senior concept artist and you kind of forgotten the fundamentals and you want to dive back into the old school way of drawing, I got that covered too. I even teach folks that are in games, but they're not artists. They're working for coding, they're doing all kinds of stuff behind the scenes, and they would like to learn how to draw. I'll cover that too. So please email me at bobbyrebholz@gmail.com for that. Or just DM me on my Discord. I keep all lines of communication as open as possible. Okay, so you can see here, I'm really starting to warm up now. This is why thumbnailing is so much fun. So when I started with number 1, we got our little friendly mutated turtle, and then we have, this actually kind of looks like a face hugger egg. I'm not gonna lie, just with animal arms coming out of it. That was totally unintentional, but hey, let's go with it. And then this one just looks like something off Silent Hill. I'm not complaining because I love Silent Hill. Okay, but I'm loosening up. Okay, I've been drawing a long time, and even I have to loosen up. And thumbnailing is definitely the way to do it. So remember what I was saying before about having the underbelly and the parts that are underneath collect that shadow, collect that darker line. It helps establish realism and depth without you having to go all out in shading for realism and depth. Okay, so let's add a very big spike coming off of there, and then a very big spike coming off of there. So you're probably wondering, why would you just use random spikes coming off there? Well, it's strategic. This head is very ambiguous. Okay, there's no eyes even, but it has big weapons on the front, similar to maybe what a rhinoceros beetle would have, a stag beetle with the pincers, or just a creature that will ram you with its horns. But you want that repetition throughout the body. Okay, so we have these stubs coming up from what looks like wings that haven't fully I guess, evolved yet. So maybe it can fly, maybe it can't. And then what I want to do is I want to bring in some of those shapes on the other parts of the body so it's more cohesive. So the next thing I'll do now is I'll take my black marker and then let's put in our trusty little shadow down here. I don't want to go over top of the arms. I want to keep those clear. Okay, and see how I use that gap there to make it look like the foot is connecting with the ground. Same thing with the front limbs here, so I'm going to color in between the limbs, but I'm also going to cover enough space underneath the body to make it look like the body has depth, space-wise. Okay, we can't forget color, can we? Let's use one that I haven't used yet in my videos. Wait, maybe I have used all these. I don't even know what this one is. It's like a, what is this, navy? What is this? Navy? Let's see. Yeah, it kind of is navy. Okay, we're going to have to counter that. And I got just the thing. So let's add in a cool little tropical color variation right there, maybe on the arm. And I'm going to need to use that hot orange again. Man, I can't tell you how much I've used this hot orange, but it has worked wonders for me. So I'm going to go around it. Now we got enough contrast between the navy blue and the orange. So notice now, notice how I'm establishing a rounded effect. Okay, I'm taking these colors, especially this design, and I'm trying to round it around the body to make it look like the body has contours itself. That thing's pretty gnarly. So far, that one has my vote. We'll see if I can do something better. Okay, on to the next one. I wonder if I have any stories left for y'all. This one, let's see what happens, because I'm really not sure what's going to happen with this one. This one might be a pretty gross ocean dweller. I'm not sure yet. Maybe, just maybe, a very deep water creature that lives in the Mariana Trench. Maybe. I love reading about that trench. I'm a space nerd, so I like anything dealing with the James Webb Telescope, new planets discovered, you know, alternate universes, black holes discovered. I love that stuff. But one thing that I equally love is new discoveries at the bottom of our ocean, because, you know, we've only explored, what, 5% of it? Something crazy small. You know, who knows what's down there? One of my favorite movies is The Abyss, you know, that James Cameron directed back in 1989. Love that movie. I thought Ed Harris deserved an Oscar for that one, especially when he revived Lindsay after drowning. Those of you that haven't seen that, you got to see that scene. It's really, really powerful, and he pretty much ad-libbed everything there. But anyway, you know, the movie The Abyss has underwater. Well, you know what? No, I'm not going to tell anything about it. I don't want to spoil it for y'all. This isn't a movie review channel. This is a drawing channel that happens to talk about movies. By the way, if you have any movie suggestions when it comes to horror and sci-fi, I'm all for it. I've seen a lot of movies. You know, Event Horizon, The Void. I love found footage films. Most of them are crap, but I watch them anyway. Like Grave Encounters is one of my favorites for horror. And I think as far as sci-fi goes, I mean, man, there's a lot. There's a lot. Okay. I'm getting off track here. This one doesn't even look like an animal that can walk around. It just looks like a floating entity that lives deep in liquid, or water for that matter. So you can see how I'm just playing up with the head here. Oh, you know what would be crazy? Just had that idea of putting a ton of eyeballs right there. What do you all think? And I think what I have to do now is probably put a little bit more pizzazz and everything to those tentacles coming off the side. Now it just looks like she's posing. She's got long hair or something. I don't know. I don't know what's happening. I never know what's happening when I'm drawing, right? I say that. Okay, I gotta stop. I don't think this one's very successful, but I do want to add color to it, so why don't we add some, like the sky blue color. I want to use the brush side, but past 2 videos it has bled on me and I don't want it to bleed anymore. So I'm just using the fat head end. Alright, that's kind of cool. Maybe down here it can be blue, and then I don't want to do anything else. So in this case, if something is floating, you can always do this. Figure out lightly with a pen where you want the shadow to go underneath it, and you just do an ellipse. Okay? Maybe a hint at some lumps on the ellipse to show that the shadows of the tentacles are coming out and stuff. But that's all you need right there, because then it looks like it's floating. And then if you want to get fancy, you can just take your black. Okay, I'm going to do that. See, I can use the skinny tip with the black. And then I'm just going to lightly brush across the black. There you go. And now it looks like it's floating. What you could do to help connect that is underneath here, very lightly, why don't we put some tentacles brushing alongside the bottom, similar to a jellyfish or whatever lives in the depth of the ocean that might do that with, you know, like sea urchins or whatever. Now it kind of looks like it's still connecting with it. All right, so next up, oh, did I just ruin the space? I hope I didn't ruin the space. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to skip ahead, so the next frame that you're going to see, these 2 will be finished. Alrighty, so here we go. We have all 6 critters sketched out with some marker and some ballpoint pen. Now, I originally had my thoughts set on number 3. Let me move it down here a little bit. Number 3 was just had a really intriguing body to it. Pretty gnarly under here with short legs in the back, but these really weird long front limbs, and a head that didn't really look like a head. It just had a bunch of spikes. But as I started moving down, I got to number 6, and I was going, this thing is crazy and it's hilarious. It's like a big, I mean, what do you even call that? Like a chicken mixed with an anglerfish / alligator and a pretty evil frog. I'm going with that one. So the next step is to just move the sketch on down here. So I'll leave this one in frame, and then I'll be drawing a newer version of that down here. Now the thing is, you have 2 options whenever you refine a thumbnail. You can keep the exact same stance of the thumbnail, or challenge yourself and you can draw the same creature but in a different stance. That's what I'm going to do. All right, here we go. So this thing is pretty hilarious. If you want to name it, please comment below on what you name. You guys have some awesome names. Now I don't even know what's going on here as far as the mouth, but I think what I'll do is I'm going to open the mouth. I'm pretty confident about what that face is going to look like. It does look like a frog actually, but I'm starting very light. Now this sketch is going to be slightly larger and it's going to be facing the opposite direction. So it looks like it has some lipstick on. Originally when I put the marker on there, it kind of did look like lipstick. That wasn't my intention. I didn't have a muddied pink or whatever, so I just decided to use like the orange again. But it's going to start off light, and then I'm going to try to keep the same type of teeth up here. So 2 big ones in the front. Now some of this might change. I don't know. I'm going to try to keep it as true as I can, because the ultimate challenge whenever you design like a product or something is doing your product design in multiple views, because then what that'll enable is you sending it off to the modeling department, and they don't have to wonder what all views look like. That's why we do orthographic views, or orthos for short. But I have to really pay attention of what's going on in the face, because it has a very distinct cheekbone, that dips pretty low down. But the mouth is open, so I don't know how far I want the mouth to open. Let's just see what happens. There's not really a big gap in the mouth. It's rather tightly built. Okay, but I do have to make sure that if I'm drawing this thing with the mouth open, that the teeth look like they can clamp shut, and the the teeth meeting won't become obstructed. I can add some things too. I don't have to copy directly what's on there. But here's the challenging part. Okay, so the head is here, but I have to make sure that the angle of the mouth, or I'm sorry, the angle of that eyebrow stays true. Okay, so you have this nose at the top, and then directly across from it is this big eyeball. So if I go here and I go across, of course these lips are probably folded back due to it opening its mouth. The nose will probably be right around there, and then that's where the eye starts. Okay, this is why I don't put in a lot of detail at first. Now some of this will probably change, but for the most part I think I got it. Again, this is all for fun too, so if you're doing this and you're feeling a little frustrated because you can't draw something in the same view, don't worry. All right, you're here to learn, but also all the sketches that you put down on paper, this right here is your exploration page. Okay, so all of that is yours. It's nobody else's but yours. Now, if you're doing it for a client and you signed an NDA, yes, it belongs to them. But you get my drift. Okay, it's up to you to actually come up with these concepts. And if you're frustrated with it, go ahead and feel those feelings. That's okay, because a lot of times we actually don't take that leap unless we get mad at it. That's the thing. Okay. So I got to put some eyelids on there. Kind of looks sleepy. There's going to be more details on this one too. Now I don't know if I want to jump into color per se on this, because I'm having a lot of fun just doing the pen. But what I will do is give it a pretty dynamic stance. Almost look like a T-Rex there for a second. I'm going to twist that body around. I try to make it look like it's running. I don't know how that's going to work. I think I just dug myself a hole here. No, let's keep going. So I'm just going to work on lightly putting in some facial features, or bony landmarks. If you're not familiar with what bony landmarks are, they are the parts of the body where the skeletal system underneath is pushing everything out. Just think of your chin. Your chin, your knuckles, your elbow, that's a bony landmark. All right, you think of a hyena with the raised hunchback because of the spinal column. That's how it evolved. That is a bony landmark. You know, this thing is kind of... Oh, I know what it reminds me of now. Well, I'm going to say it again. I was an 80s child, or am an 80s child. And there are these set of movies called Ghoulies. If anybody remembers Ghoulies, raise your hand. Or comment below and you tell me that you didn't try to sneak and watch those movies when your parents weren't looking, because they were rated R. And they were pretty violent. You know, it came out at the same times like Child's Play and Critters. You know, you had The Gate. Oh, I missed that. Those of you that remember The Gate, I think it came out in 1990. Very underrated horror film. The Gate 2 is pretty good too. So what I'm doing here is I'm putting a lot of emphasis on this mouth, because in creature design, if you have a pretty solid design and you're happy with it and you want to go with it to the next level, put all the details in the mouth first, just to give yourself a better idea of its personality. You know, like what it's feeling. Because sometimes when you're drawing something, you become really attached to it. You feel what it's feeling. And I'm I don't mean to sound cheesy like that. What I mean is like the mood that you set with the creature that you draw. You know, you put your eyeballs in and you give it wrinkles, you give it age, you give it personality, and you start to imagine this thing fighting and or being friendly, living in its environment. It's a lot of fun. Okay, so what I'm doing now is I'm adding some stuff near the mouth where the shoulder would exist that I didn't really put down there before. Because up here I kind of hinted at some arm anatomy. You know, you got your deltoid here, your bicep, elbow, and then a very, very long wrist. All right, so now that I'm putting in more of that anatomy in here, I can start to think about how things are going to bend, what kind of limbs these arms really are, even if they're arms, I don't know. It's kind of a compact body too. So I'm not really changing much of the stance actually, but what I am doing is changing the movement of the legs. So this creature is going to be walking a little bit towards us. I'm going to move this up a little bit so you can see. And it's got that really goofy looking... Is this a tail? I have no idea what that is. That's why I kind of said it looked like a chicken before, or some kind of bird, but I do like the feathers, so I'm just going to keep those. Could be a defense mechanism. It really does look like a frog though, doesn't it? But we do want to keep those bent legs in the back. I think that's pretty cool. And get some structure over here on the legs. Got the hip flexors in there. Really indicate what we can do with the rib cage, because I think the belly's just going to come down like this. So I'm still going to hold the same technique for the darker underbelly and then loosen my grip as I work up the side of the creature. But with this one, I can play with the anatomy a little bit more. So for example, the scapula. You know, I'm thinking about the scapula of a quadruped, not a human, and then you got your lats. You know, this thing technically is a quadruped, a very ugly one at that, but it is one. And you also catch yourself with some mistakes that you didn't know you made in the original sketch. So for example, I didn't really give a lot of indication of a torso here. Of course, most of it is foreshortened, obviously you can't see it, but the head right here almost looks like it's bleeding right into the ribs because I didn't finish it. But again, it's a thumbnail. So here what I'm doing is I'm putting the cranium out like this and then giving space back here and a lot more room for the rib cage and the back and everything. This thing is really creepy, isn't it? Okay, now let's do something rather simple for the feet. Cause, oh wait, no, I'm sorry. Didn't want to jump the gun. Okay, I'm just putting in the back leg. It's back right leg. Of course, you got your front right paw. I'm just going to say paw. I'm keeping it simple. There's two big claws in the front, maybe a dew claw on the side. So just keep it really simple. And then in the back, we'll give it 3. It probably needs more toes to hold the weight for the body anyway. Just like this. If you're finding this enjoyable, let me know. Let me know what you're working on in school too. I did post a video this week about how to become a better art student. You know, and I can't get into all the details about it, but a lot of the times it's just a mind game. You know, you want to make sure that you're not comparing yourself to your other classmates, but you're comparing yourself to the people in the industry who have the job that you eventually want to get. That's who you should be comparing yourself to. But that's just like a little taste of that video too. Okay, so now I gotta think about the thighs. It's gonna be a little different. Okay, I'm mixing in several anatomical, you know, systems here, I guess you can call it. Got human, just a tad. Got a bullfrog. What else we got? I mean, yeah, I said anglerfish at first, but I don't see an anglerfish now. Now that I got those details on there, I do see an alligator though. Not an elongated snout like alligators usually have, but it's an alligator. Okay. And also, when you refine these sketches a little bit, you want to make sure that you still finish each of the limbs. Okay, so it's not perfect. I'm not going in here and drawing every single little scale on the toe or anything, but show where it ends. Okay, show how they bend. That's all. There we go. All right, and I want to make sure that the silhouette is clear. So going around the side here. All right, so we went from these, and then we went to that. I don't think this sketch is complete without me actually adding in, you know what? The orange lipstick look, like that's too funny. I can't not do that now. All right. Oh yeah. So maybe this is nature's way of painting this critter, you know? Maybe if one of the prey sees this, they're gonna run. There we go. Okay, so I just took the design cues from this one and I changed them a little bit, and I refined this sketch to the point where if I wanted to take this one even further, I could, but it would be the rendering stage. And it would also have to be approved by the design team too. But now I'm answering some questions when I do this, like, okay, this is where the neck begins. All right, and then this is where it ends right here, where the clavicle is and the chest. You know, obviously there'd be a little cast shadow under there. Okay, and inside here you can hint at the mouth, so you can single hatch a direction inside the mouth to add some volume. Okay, make the eyeball come out a little bit because, you know, skin is sitting on top of there like eyelids do. There we go. And then, instead of a jet black shadow on the ground, I'm just going to scribble one in with some pen. I'm going to go over my sketch, but it's very light, so it doesn't make a difference. When it gets closer to the actual drawing, so like right under here by the toe, you get darker, and then you move it away from the figure and thick to thin lines and short controlled bursts like that. So what it does is it looks like the shadow is darker because the object is closer to the ground there. Same thing with the back, and then you hint at it over there, so I can hatch in some shadow for that back limb. If you're wondering how I'm shading so lightly with a ballpoint pen, it's because I'm tilting it so far to the side where the ball, more of the ball is touching than ink is coming out. That's the trick. When you tilt it up like this, good luck. When you tilt it back like this and loosen your grip, you know, like this, then you can shade. So, I hope you like this little thumbnail refinement stage. I love doing this stuff. Please comment below if you enjoyed it and tell me what you're working on. Check the links in the description for the Discord, my online course, and also my mentorship. Thanks everybody. I'll see you around. Peace.